not a show. This is an experience. This is PV Roundtable Talk. I'm your host, Amiri.
I'm HD.
I'm Sabra.
I'm Bailey.
Y'all ready to talk about it?
Let's
Talk
talk about
about
it.
it.
All right. So we just had a great weekend. Grammys weekend was just here. Who were some of the people y'all was rooting for, and who are y'all happy about who won?
Absolutely, Leon Thomas III, Coco Jones,
Okay.
and Miley Cyrus.
All our childhood favorites, for real.
Yes.
Victoria Monet.
Yes.
Yes, she's
Ooh,
been in the game.
Been waiting on that one. What about you?
I just wanted to see Coco. I'm sorry.
She looked good. She did her thing. She won for
Yeah.
I See You. I think that's her first Grammy. So congrats to her. I was also very excited for Victoria Monet because she's been in this industry for a long time. I believe she said it had been a 13-year journey of her when she started music. She's been writing for big names like Ariana Grande. She did her whole like Thank You Next era was Victoria Monet. Ari be having some good black folk behind her, not even gonna
That
lie.
she does.
I love watching people be able to reap the fruits of their labor.
Okay.
It's especially when it's such a long journey. It's just like
Yes.
I feel it for them.
And baby Hazel, right there with them.
Yeah, but the thing that I seen right now, Taylor Swift is just winning at life. She's winning everything. Awards. She winning on the football side, music side, anything she
Her
do, she win.
boyfriend, yeah.
People ain't liking it too much. But about a lot of the first wins, this Grammys, it was crazy because a lot of the first wins should have been like third win, fourth
Yes.
wins.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Agree.
There's some people who definitely deserved more. And speaking on the first win, we could have had a first one with Nicki Minaj, but the Recording Academy pranked us, I guess, on Twitter and told us that they had won Best Rap Song for Barbie World out of all of Nicki's music. I wouldn't have want that to win anyways, but that was really crazy because you know how the Barbs get.
Yeah. But that's enough Grammy talk, man. Let's get into these topics today. We got self-love.
Yes.
How y'all feel about self-love?
I love self-love. Self-love comes with a lot of things. We got to first start with boundaries, and also making sure that we set those boundaries and making sure that we don't people please. That's because self-love starts. If we can start with self-love, then we won't get to those things like boundaries and people pleasing.
Self-love is the base of it all.
I think self-love really starts at home. It starts with your environment and what you're seeing and what you're receiving from other people. Because if you never learned how to love anybody else or learned what love truly is in its most purest form, then you are unable to have self-love or commit to yourself or be respectful of yourself, which is all a part of self-love.
Yes.
Right. And then you got to understand, like, people come from different aspects of life. Like, people grew up hard on the family. People grew up without family, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, you look at us, it's like some of us was fortunate to have both parents. Not me, but I'm just saying, like, other people were fortunate to have those type of parents. And then it's like, when they grow up, it's like they don't know how to love themselves because they never felt that love and affection from at home.
Right, absolutely.
And I think a lot of it goes into, like Bailey was saying, how it's the words spoken into you. If your parents are like telling you all these affirmations as your kid and, you know, making you say all these things, some people might look at it as like corny or something, but that really affects how kids grow up and what they think about themselves.
Absolutely. I was going to say that, like, before you can love yourself, sometimes you have to see the love. And that comes from seeing your parents love each other as they grow up, making sure, like, that also comes to your other siblings. Like, if you don't see those things as you grow up, then you don't even know what it looks like to love one another. And if you don't know what it looks like to love one another, you damn sure don't know how it looks to love yourself.
Right.
Because I mean, unless like it's narcissism, that's like the only way. But even then, it's like you can't love yourself truly if you're a narcissist.
Right.
It seemed like that triggered a little thought in you. What?
Well, I mean, it's just the word narcissism that kind of like, you know, triggers a little just idea in my head. Cause like, and then when you said you can't truly love yourself if you're a narcissist, y'all think these narcissists don't be loving themselves? I think they be so full of themselves.
I think narcissism is less of a love for yourself and more of like it's not even love. I think we have to properly define what love is, because narcissism is completely different from love. Narcissism is making yourself out to be a god or just completely putting yourself on a pedestal, and you can do that without loving yourself. You can do that as a means of like if you're bullied or if you don't feel loved, you can convert into a narcissist to compensate for
Yeah, and try
the
and
lack
protect
of
your
love that you feel.
yeah.
I like what you said about defining love. Now I need a minute to think, but anybody else got a definition? Because I'm curious. How do y'all define love?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Or love within yourself. Let's start there. Love within yourself. How do you define that?
I'm currently reading the book All About Love by Bell Hooks. Love her. But she basically she spent a whole chapter talking about defining love within relationships with yourself, with other people, and using the proper words and understanding what you mean when you say you love, or what you mean when you say you're in love, and using love to define what intimacy is, and being intimate, and knowing that intimacy doesn't have to be just sex. Intimacy is expressing yourself to other people, which can be really hard. And if you're able to express yourself, if you're able to know things about yourself and about others, if you're able to be who you truly are, then you can have self-love, you can have love, you can have understanding, you can have compassion. And love isn't always just, oh, I love the things you do, I love the things you say. It's, I love who you are. I love what you can be. I love the things about you that you don't love. Even when you're in your times of struggle.
Absolutely.
I also, like, for me, I feel like everybody have like their own opinionated of how they view love. Like for me, it's when you start giving yourself affirmation, like your self affirmation. You're not looking for nobody else to give you affirmation. You wake up, you be like, yeah, I'm him, I'm her. You know what I'm saying? And then you wake up, it's like you go about your day, you're not worried about what other people think about you. It's like when you stop, because I feel like when people self-love, I mean, not self-love, but when they people please, it's like exhausting to them. And they, you know what I'm saying, they get tired. They don't know how to just keep on self-pleasing without trying to fit in. When they start actually self-loving and start being their self, that's when they start seeing the good results and everything come with it.
Absolutely. I'm trying to like formulate love, because love means so many different things to so many different people, especially depending on the relationship that you have. And I know there's different types of love, like eros love and agape love, and that's something we can get into another time. But I think love for me is just, because I have to separate whether it's a feeling or if it's like an intention. And it's like, it's kind of both, because at some there's points where you love somebody that you don't want to love. You have such strong connection with somebody that you don't even see, or you might be able to see that they're not good for you, but it's like you don't know how to hit that stop button with them. That's what love is to me. Love is like, it's not something that I can control. It's something that's in me for you, for whoever that person is.
I love that you said that, because in her book she also spoke about using love as a verb, using it as an action word. You want to love someone, because we always talk about falling in love as if it's something that we can't control. But if you're in love with someone, you choose to love them every day, if you want.
I had just heard something the other day that was love is easy when it's accidental, but it only gets real when you do it on purpose.
Yeah. And that's a word, because that's why it's so important to practice self-love. Self-love is not something that you just, yes, it's in you, but you have to practice the things that make you in love with yourself. You have to be in love with it. It's not even just about loving yourself. You have to truly love every single part of you. And when you can do that, I feel like that's how you can just be the best person you can be. Like that's part of like Maslow's like hierarchy of needs. That's that, to get to that part of like self-ascension, is you got to be in love with who you are. And the parts that you maybe aren't in love with, no, actually be in love with your flaws too. But also, when you're in love with somebody, you know how to check them, you know how to hold them accountable, hold yourself accountable in the same way.
I also feel like that goes with a lot of relationships, like with the people pleasing, because it's like a lot of times you feel like, oh, I gotta always make sure my hair is looking like a certain way, you know what I'm saying? Because they feel like they're not up to the caliber of what the person want them to be, and they gotta accept that he's with you because he want to be with you, or she's with you because she want to be with you, and you gotta understand that that comes with self-love. So if you ain't got self-love, you're not gonna believe that, and then you're gonna just think that you gotta self-please for the person.
that's how you get anxiety.
Uh-huh.
And that's something, I don't know if y'all have dealt with stuff like that, but I know me in relationships, friendships, all of that, it's so hard sometimes to be in spaces where you're unsure of how the other person feels about
Yeah.
you. And it like when, because I have a little bit of social anxiety just based off of situations I've had in the past where like every day, like you could just do the little things and I'm like, okay, well, what do they mean by that? How do you really feel about me? Like, even though they might have just embraced me an hour late earlier, I feel like every single action makes me like kind of paranoid in a way of like, am I deserving of your love? Do you love me? Things of that nature. Have y'all had experiences with anxiety in relationships?
I like how y'all are connecting all these words: anxiety, self-love, boundaries, people pleasing, and they all come into one, for real. Because like you said, anxiety comes from like, if you can love yourself and have a specific set idea of who you are and how much you love yourself, that's one thing. But then when anxiety comes into play, it kind of makes your self-love, your set outlook on yourself, it kind of makes it shaky. So then you go into these areas with people and then you start to let your boundaries waver and you start people pleasing, because then that anxiety is making your self-love waver and you don't know if these people are going to love you for who you are, for real, for real.
Absolutely. And boundaries really come, like I said with self-love, it really comes from your first environment, which is your parents. And I bring this up a lot. I feel like when you set boundaries, when you learn how to set boundaries, because that's also something that you have to learn along with self-love. When you learn how to set specific boundaries, whether it's emotional or physical, those boundaries, and you expect them not to be crossed. And when they are crossed, you can have anxiety about that, especially when it comes from somebody who is really important to you, like your parents. You expect your parents to love and respect you enough to not cross those boundaries. And it's not as big of a thing if it's like a stranger or even your friends, but with people you love, it can be so upsetting because you feel like, man, maybe they know what's best, you know? And so therefore you start to belittle yourself and you start to think that maybe your boundaries aren't as important. And that's when you start to people please. That's where it begins. You start to people please and you start to change yourself. And you think, well, maybe my boundaries are making her uncomfortable. And so her comfort is more important than my boundary.
Right.
You landed the plane, baby.
Also, I feel like that growing up, like when you start realizing that you're self-loving yourself, you start to let that trauma that was hindering you from self-loving yourself go. Like you're starting to let all that childhood memories, I can't love myself because of this and that. You start to let that go. Because I started to see, like, as I matured and got older, things that was hindering me from self-loving myself, I was just like, man, I just got to let that go. And now it's like, I don't care what nobody's talking about.
Can we talk about some of the things that have hindered you guys from loving yourself?
Oh my goodness.
I think, like I had mentioned earlier, how it's like the words that are spoken into you. It was like when I was younger, those words weren't spoken into me. You know, it was like there were people said a lot of things, and I come from not gonna get too deep into my business, but you know, I come from around people who use, you know, how people use insults as jokes, sort of. I'm a softie, I'm sensitive, but however, the people around me were not as sensitive, so they didn't think I should take those things as hard as I did, but you know, I did. And those things came into me.
The power of the tongue
made me not love myself. But then, you know, I got into therapy and all that. And I get to talking with somebody who's like, okay, these things are important. And I start realizing, I need this thing to carry on. I need self-love to get through this life. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to keep getting taken advantage of by people because I don't have boundaries. I people please all the time. And I just need to stay still in who I am and in the boundaries that I have.
I too am a very emotional person. I really am. And when I was younger, I would cry a lot because I felt like I wasn't given the words to express my emotions a lot of the time. And there was just so much going on that, again, I also will not get into. There was so much going on that really needs to be expressed, and it could only come out as tears. And a lot of the times, my tears would be combated with aggression and violence. And I just started crying this year. I was like, crying is okay. The tears are going to fall, and I don't have to beat myself up for it.
I love that.
So I'm just going to let it go.
I was about to say one of the things that I have seen on social media, I there's a person that I support, and she's an emoter, and the way she emotes is crying, and people have like they've called her crybaby, da 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 da, and she's just never cared about it, because when you stop yourself from crying, when you stop yourself from expressing your emotions the way your body is telling you this is how I'm supposed to, you will literally start suppressing more and more and more of yourself. And I will not want to suppress this conversation, but we will be back after this roundup.
But before we go to the commercial, did you want to say anything?
We'll be right back after this Roundtable Roundup.
Give me your love. I'm in love with your touch. Your sex is better than drugs. Her mama love me even though I'm a thug.
I give it a 6.5. Really, because I don't listen to music like that, but I can listen to my vibe.
Alright, what's your favorite song?
My favorite. Can I call you Rose? Hold on, don't do me like that. I never had you
I'm back in the house, 1982. Driving a 1964 Cadillac. Can I call you Rose, baby?
What's your rating?
I'm gonna rate that a whole 10. That's a vibe right there with some roses in a hotel on the 28th floor, San Diego, with the sun going down, sliding in the 1964 Cadillac convertible. Drop top, baby.
Okay, what's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song? Get Up on It.
One more thing. What's your favorite song?
Favorite? Stay by Tyrese.
Stay, baby.
What's your favorite song?
My human feelings. Got a murder on my belt, is holding up my.
And what's your favorite song?
Ain't never won though. Ain't right. Okay, this is a 10 out of 10. I said 10.
10. Okay. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song?
Yeah. If you got a lot, just name one.
I got a lot, man. I
Just
want to
name
say
one.
Rocket Man by Young Thug. I'm gonna rock it, man. I'm trying to get.
I want a train that run a train. Bitch, she want bang, just let her bang. He said he bleeding with us.
I'm always support Young Thug. If y'all ever go to my page, I got the Young Thug tape stream. You know, it's free thugger, still free thugger. I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Cool. What's your favorite song? What's your favorite song?
My favorite song for Young Thug would be Hot.
When it's hot, turn to the city, I broke out the notch. Got some more millions, I keep me a knot.
Yeah, I'm on it. I gotta rate it now?
Yeah, rate it.
Good 6. Yeah.
And what's your favorite song?
My favorite song right now, After Donkey, for sure.
I would give it an 8. Yeah, I would give it an 8. Emperor of the Universe by Deshaun. Make no sense. Yeah, shake that ass. Shake that ass.
The sexy red thing?
That shit smooth.
What's the rating? 1 out of 10.
Man, that been a 9 for a big booty hole.
Alright. So, what's your favorite song?
That man, young boy. All in.
Came about that dip, now I'm ballin'. I don't need no church, man.
What's your favorite song?
Church and Tales by Love Always.
definitely give it a good 8.5. That's that song, like, you know what I'm saying?
What's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song?
You got one good name.
Let me see. My favorite song? Beautiful Crazy by
He starts with a coffee, ends with a wine, takes forever.
Nah. Really great.
Nah.
No, what's the rating?
2 out of 10. Just because he got money. 2 out of 10. But he's saying some outlandish shit.
Alright, what's your favorite song? Just name any favorite song you got, man.
My favorite song would probably be She Got the Best of Me by Luke Combs.
I know.
Like kerosene dancing around the fire.
I get about a 7. I like country.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song is Player Ambitions by Big Jesse. Most definitely, most definitely.
Shit, like a 5.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song right now, I'll probably be like Set Me Free by Rollo.
Tell me that you love me, and tell you that I love you. We both know that it ain't true. No one can tell me my truth, but God's sweet. Can't let me by the spiritual rich, you ain't feel the same. We both.
Back with PV Roundtable Talk. We are going to continue this conversation a little bit. One of the biggest things that we were mentioning was boundaries. And I know I've had my troubles with boundaries, especially as I started to grow up and my mental health was going in different directions. But I want to know, have y'all had problems? We can start in the house with the parents. Have you guys had trouble with boundaries with your parents?
Me, I'm definitely like a twin of my father. So I feel like growing up, he understood like my boundaries. He understood we never crossed paths, we never bumped heads like that when it comes to boundaries. Like he, you know what I'm saying, he always made sure I kept like that close conversation with him growing up. So I really never necessarily had like no troubles with boundaries. What about y'all?
My parents grew up with me, so they kind of, when I was younger, they started with this idea of like, I'm going to install all these ideals into my child, and I'm going to build them up to who they want to be, but they didn't really observe what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But as they grew up and I grew up, we started to learn each other's boundaries and learn what works for us in our relationships. And now things are pretty good, but parents have to grow up with you. They have to learn from their kids.
Always developing.
Exactly.
Right.
Always learning.
There's a big gap between my mother and my generation. So she grew up where it was like, you do it because I said so.
Yeah.
I'm the parent.
Yeah.
If I said it, I want it done now, which I understand because I am a copy and paste of my mother. I feel like if I said it, it should be done.
Absolutely.
But it's more of like, for me right now, it's like, I understand that you said that. However, I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And so that will go on the list of things that I have to do because I am also a person.
Okay.
And I have been working with her to understand that just because I am a child, just because I am her child, I am still a human that you have to respect. And you have to have those boundaries, and you have to understand that, yes, you said this, but also point B.
Right.
That respect word. That's literally what I was going to bring up. Like I said, I've had my own issues with boundaries in the house, just on especially on the emotional level, even on like boundaries within like my creative like space. There were certain things that I wanted to do that I was interested in that I didn't really get to explore because the boundary was crossed, and you've interpreted how I'm expressing my creativity a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
But back on that respect word, because I think respect is what starts all of this. Self-respect. It's the same thing with self-love. You can't love yourself if you don't respect yourself. And respect with people pleasing, the other person has to respect you. And sometimes we don't even realize that the person that we are trying to please may not respect us as individuals. And some people will see, oh, this person will do whatever they want for whatever I want or need from them. Or anytime that I need something, they're going to be at my beck and call.
Yes.
And when you don't have that respect in the household, in the friendship with your spouse, that's how relationships get on that downturn. And it's either you keep doing what you're doing at the expense of your mental health, or you make a change.
Yeah.
And if that person isn't okay with that change, then that's not the person for you.
Since you brought it up, how do y'all view like boundaries as far as like a relationship wise, like on a relationship standpoint?
I don't think a healthy relationship can happen without certain boundaries.
Yeah.
Because then neither one of y'all will be comfortable if nobody's enforcing their boundaries.
Right.
And that also needs to be a conversation had early on
Yeah.
about what you
very
will not
important.
accept and what you will accept for a healthy relationship.
I agree about having the conversation. Personally, in my relationship, I like to have ongoing conversations.
Yes.
Right.
I'm asking questions daily. I'm making sure everybody is on the same page all the time because boundaries aren't just set, they are changeable.
Mhm.
You can be okay with something one day and completely change your mind the next, or vice versa. So I'm making sure that everything we do is always in line with how we feel and what we think.
Right.
That's definitely about intention as well.
Yeah.
And think about relationships. I know one of the biggest things, especially we're at a college campus, so you get in these relationships, and then you guys start going over each other's house, and then y'all start playing house, and that's when things get a little murky because sometimes you might see that person every day, and then you realize I don't need to be seeing this person every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes one party doesn't understand that, because I know me, I feel like if I were to get into a relationship, those first few weeks, like I'm just gonna want to be in your skin. Like that's
the honeymoon
like
phase, yeah.
very much honeymoon. But then once you get out of that and you realize, like, especially like when school starts for real and we start to get real busy and stuff, and it's like we can't operate the same way we were operating when we was in our little honeymoon stage and wasn't nothing else going on. It's business time. We gotta we gotta get to where we gotta get to.
For me, I just honestly feel that in order for a healthy relationship to work, like with boundaries and everything, God got to be somewhere in the midst of it.
Okay.
Like he got to have something to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Something going on. Cause like that's what goes with people pleasing. Cause maybe a lot of times when they just think that the person is for them, they just start people pleasing instead of actually like praying and seeing that person for them. Cause that person might not be for them. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
so
God, give me a sign.
They get the people pleasing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, this the one. The first 3 days, you like, yeah, this the one. This right here.
Have you ever felt like that? Like you meet somebody and then you're like, okay, this is my husband, this is my wife for the rest of
30 minutes text, and I'd be like, yeah,
I'd be like, nah, man, I think I love them. Like,
absolutely. I think we have trouble as a society defining the difference between a crush, dating, and a relationship.
Come on now.
Because a crush is just the absence of knowledge about a person. And
Come
another
on
thing, I'm gonna bring it back to this book every time. Another thing Bell
Hey,
Hook
a
talks
reader.
about is how the media makes it so important for us to think that the absence of knowledge about a person is what makes intimacy thrive, when really intimacy is about knowing somebody. And so when you have a crush, it is cute. You are in the honeymoon phase. But it's really hard when you go from crush to marriage.
Right.
Whether it's legal or not, from crush to marriage without defining the relationship. And that's where we miss the mark every time.
Come on now.
On your question, I definitely think it's some people that done made me have to look in myself and be like, is this what I really like? Or what do I want in a person? I had to establish that after like some relationships. And then before I got into another, I had to figure out what do I want in a person, and that's the next thing I'm looking out for. And then, the next person may make me realize there's something else that I want in a person that something you ain't doing that I need someone to do for me.
Because those first couple of days, first couple of weeks, you're gonna get the best version somewhat. Yeah, and sometimes like they'll give you everything that you want and need those first couple of weeks, and then when y'all start getting into the regular and they start kind of letting those walls down, that's when
you start seeing the flaws.
Yeah. So but this was a great talk about boundaries and stuff, but I want to circle back to our Grammy talk.
Good. I got a lot off my chest.
You got a lot. Yes, I was about to say that was really good. I felt like self-love, self-care. Yes. But speaking of, I want to know, first of all, we all look good. We're going to get into that later. I want to talk about who looks good at the Grammys, because I saw some really, really good looks. I think one of my favorites was Chloe, actually. She had this like chocolate, like caramel, like it was given like a little swirl, but it was just everywhere. It was down, it was dripping. She just looked like decadent. Decadent. Did y'all have any favorite looks?
I definitely, my girl Victoria Monet. I just love
Another
her. But the mommy baby
Yes.
matching was like so cute.
Her and Hazel been killing it.
For real.
Killing it.
I loved Celine Dion's look. It was simple. It was elegant. I loved it for her, especially the white, the off-white, the cream situation with the gold that she had going on. I thought it was so important and spiritual, especially after she came from all of her health difficulties. And we really missed her in the industry. To see her come back and perform and just be her lively self in that very comfortable looking, very stylish outfit. Amazing.
And the Bobbiana. Okay?
And a Bobbiana.
That was not a Bob. That was a Robert. It was
stiff
full.
wear.
But what about you?
For me, I hope she watching. Whenever she see this episode, she gonna know. Coco, I'm gonna need you to lock in. I'm gonna need you to lock in.
It's your guy, man. He been.
I need you. I ain't gonna lie.
We'll send her the link.
Yeah, we're gonna say that for another time. But I was actually happy to see Dirk finally get him.
Yes,
get
I
some
saw
recognition
that
because he's been putting out music this whole time, but he ain't getting no recognition. But how do y'all feel about how Taylor Swift is just winning all these? Because I ain't never heard no Taylor Swift won.
I'm like,
I don't know.
Year?
I was like, come on now.
And that's the thing is, like, I think she actually broke a record for the most album of the year wins, I believe, which is just like, I know back in the day when we was all on Taylor Swift, when Taylor Swift would come on and we all knew all the lyrics and stuff. But I feel like now, especially in Jay-Z, when he won his award, he made the speech like, Beyonce has won all these Grammys. Yeah, she has a lot of Grammys, but she hasn't won album of the year. And when you think about album of the year, I'm thinking about like impact. I'm thinking about inspiration. Let's talk about the way that Beyonce, when she released Renaissance and the dance pop theme that we had, and you saw that carry out. And it's even now, Ariana Grande released Yes and she's literally having a Beyonce rollout because this is her. That's going to be her only single. Break My Soul was her only single before she released Renaissance. So that's like, honestly, that's been like one of my biggest snubs in my opinion.
I was gonna say not to have a Kanye West moment, but Beyonce. Let's talk about her. That's what
Exactly.
I don't want to take this away from you, Taylor.
But
who would you have rather had as album of the year? Who was
Janelle Monáe? Now I get not many people be listening to Janelle Monáe, but y'all be a little asleep. My girl was talking about being free and just be having fun, and she's always on that note, like free, fun, loving yourself. She installs the best vibes into people, the best energy, the best ideals, like just like being who you are unapologetically, and I love that about her. Right. She ate that album up.
I know SOS was a contender for that as well. That was a really good album. Another album that had a lot of impact. And shout out, literally, I was about to say shout out to SZA because she still was walking away with, I believe, 2 or 3 Grammys for Snooze, for I keep forgetting the song that she has with Phoebe Bridgers. That's a really, really good song, by the way. And I know we were talking about SZA one time. What's your favorite song off of SOS?
Snooze.
Really?
I would say my top 3 is Snooze, Nobody Else, then not Kill Bill. Open Arms with Travis Scott. That's kind of
Open Arms was cool. I think for me, I was really feeling the way that SZA took a lot of different directions with this. Like we had F2F, which was like that kind of punk rock type vibe. We had the one that she won the Grammy for. That was like a more poppy type song, and then she had Low. Like I was like, SZA made a twerk song, like. But I want to talk about some other winners that happened. I know. Well, back on Taylor real quick because I know we were talking about respect as well. I don't know because I got to get on Taylor's neck just a little bit because she was so excited for her however many album of the year win that she slid right past on Miss Celine Dion.
During our month.
Now,
the media went wild.
Crazy.
But think about it, like in the excitement of hearing your name announced, like, hey, you won a Grammy, and it's like, it wasn't that the award where she set a record? Like, it's a lot of excitement running through your body now. It is Celine Dion. I don't know how you walk past Celine Dion. But the excitement kind of, and you do things you may not, be knowledgeable about.
But the way I see it, I feel like I don't know what Celine Dion could do or has done for Taylor Swift, but the way I see it is that you could be walking towards something amazing, whether it's an award or anything. And say Celine Dion was going to give her something afterwards, whether she was like, hey, I'm so happy for you, I want to give you this. You could be walking past a blessing, looking at what's right in front of you.
Come on now.
I was about to say they took a picture after, but I'm still like, there's a certain deference that you're supposed to have. Like Miley Cyrus, another winner, she won a few times actually. Record of the Year for Flowers. Flowers was not my favorite song at first, but I love the message that she has. It's literally on topic with what we're talking about today, the self-love. Because that song, she was I Can Buy Myself Flowers.
Yeah, it was the impact.
Yeah, impact. Okay, so and I also understand that like it's about music at the root, but I was still like Taylor. But on the Miley Cyrus, she got her award presented by Mariah Carey, and it was really funny because she was like, I haven't held one of these in a long time, but come on, Mariah. But it was cool because that was literally MC to MC, and she even said that in her speech. So just things like that, like you gotta show love to the top.
Yeah, you do,
because that's mother, literally.
But I mean,
absolutely,
you can't bash a woman for celebrating herself in a moment.
Real,
sometimes,
I can't be mad.
Things do slip your mind, and I think that was one of those moments where she just kind of like, okay, I'm running to get this award, and I got a little distracted. Now she don't got to put out a statement or nothing, but I feel like that's more what happened than what the media is trying to make it to be.
That is true. Yeah. The media does like
I'm
to.
I'm just saying though. I'm on my way to a award and I see Celine. I'm hugging something.
Right.
I'm taking Celine as the award.
I mean, we watched her all announce, but I get it. But last thing I want to talk about is there was somebody who was escorted off the premises, and that was Mr. Killer Mike. He won 3 Grammys that night: Best Rap Album, Rap Performance, and I believe another one. And he was arrested. And I don't.
Oh yeah, the shade room was quick with that one.
What Kiki say? I don't know that man. I am sorry to that man.
If I saw him on the street, I couldn't tell you.
Exactly.
That's my first time hearing about dude. I ain't on the other side.
Yeah, I don't know.
See, and the fact that we only heard about him because he got kicked out of the Grammys, and you just said he won awards.
Exactly.
3. We don't know about the awards he got, but we know about the fact that he got kicked out. That's sad to see in the media that they promoting that more than the fact that this man done won some awards and he's not as well known as some of these other people. Give him a shout out or something.
On a bright note, what a black year for the Grammys.
Okay.
Am I right?
Oh my.
Black.
Come on, Black History Month.
On that note, thank you guys. No, literally, okay. And free Palestine. But on that note, thank you guys so much. This was an amazing conversation.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Please, first off, practice self-love in everything that you do. Love yourself, love God, love whoever brings you peace.
Your boundaries are important.
And boundaries are important, and them other people are not. Not before yourself.
Never before yourself.
Now, like I said before, this is not a show. This is an experience. This is PV Roundtable Talk Season 2, and we will always be back with more.